I think that's exactly what the brunch cover shoot was all about. It was just putting all this creativeness in a process, and just the result is right here. It's a fabulous cover.
That's true. What about you, Shivan? What do you think?
I mean, mostly what I remember was having a little shoot of our own with the models.
Oh yeah, there was a whole, so that the we did it in the presidential suite
Yeah.
of the Roseate, and there was a bathtub there, like
Yeah.
this really huge bathtub, and they were having a ball because they were all shooting inside the bathtub while Rohit was like shooting one model, and then Lakshmi and Shivan and Naresh are like posing at the bathtub. It was so much fun, honestly, and I'm like observing from once, and I'm like, okay, great. So yeah.
So, yeah, I had a great time having our own personal shoot.
That's awesome. So tell me something about the collection that the models were wearing, like, you know, the two pieces and the prints and everything. You know, which collection? When did you launch this collection? And also, what is the inspiration that you guys, you know, had to like put this together?
So this was from our collection called Iraqi series. We showcased it at the Amazon India Fashion Week last season.
Right.
And the entire collection started from our trip to Japan. And it was a fantastic trip. It was the complete Japanese Oriental universe was completely something else, and
Right.
that really seeded this collection. And what they're wearing here, it's the Itsu Juno series from the Iraqi section, and it's completely nautical. It's all blue and whites, and I think it's a very interesting color palette. It's very holiday. It's very seasonless. It's also very timeless. I mean, you can go from morning to evening very easily, and that's pretty much what you see on the cover here.
Of course. What about you? What do you think? So, like, where do you think you drew the inspiration for this as well?
I mean, it's obviously common. So
Yeah.
we both travel together, and there are things we notice at completely different points of view.
Of course.
He has a very larger way of looking at things, and I have a very detailed way of looking at things. And then you see the amalgamation of these two coming together
Right.
in a collection.
Right.
So this is a sub collection of it, which is called Izujuno, and it's been in stores for about 15-20 days now.
Oh, that's lovely. So, you know what? Honestly, my favorite from this collection was that sarong that you had with the tassels.
Yes.
That was beautiful. So, you know, tell me, like, what is your favorite piece of clothing?
It actually is one of the most beautiful pieces, which we both personally like. It's very versatile. It's you know, it really moves with the body. So there's a lot of movement when you wear it. There's a lot of movement, and I believe that's the kind of essence, kind of holidays you project with that kind of a piece. Yeah.
Right. What about you?
I agree 100%. I think holiday clothing is all about versatility,
Right.
and if you can pack that one piece of clothing that helps you style yourself from morning to evening, the Shivan Narresh Pario is definitely the one. So while you might start your morning with a bathing suit and tied around the waist, the Pario, as you move towards the evening, you keep changing it from a halter style to a one shoulder style to a jacket style.
Of course.
And your looks change drastically without you unnecessarily going back to your hotel room again and again and again changing while you
your
should be at
outfit,
the
of
beach or you
course.
should be out at the resort.
Right.
So I think this particular one, the one that you also like, exemplifies that. And it's
Yeah,
one of
and
our
I think
favorites.
both Sonalika and Lakshmi also really liked it because
And
I
they knew-
remember.
we didn't have to tell them what to do with it.
Yeah,
They were
so I had picked up only one piece from the store and both of them wanted it. And Lakshmi was like, you know what, before Sonalika finishes her hair and makeup, let me just quickly wear it. It was hilarious, honestly. So, you know, also I noticed one more thing in this collection, other than your bikini and the two pieces, there were also these really nice navy blue skirts that they had, you know, that was like...
The swim skirts.
Yeah, the swim skirts, which were like which reflected a lot of athleisure in them, which also brought me to think about inclusive fashion. You know, because when it comes to swimwear, people are always a little conscious. You know, so what would you say about inclusive fashion when it comes to resort wear or swimwear?
Oh, lots of subjects. I think fashion is hugely democratic today.
course.
We're in the millennial society. You loving yourself is more important than others loving you. That's why we're also the selfie generation. That's why we're the generation of Kim Kardashian, Rihanna. Everyone's obsessed with themselves. And in these times, fashion has no other choice but to be very, very inclusive.
Right.
So you could be any body type, you could be any size, you
Right.
could have any kind of hair, any kind of skin. The fact that fashion fashion can adapt to you, makes fashion successful today. So what you saw, the swim skirts, was nothing but an example of just that. I think recreating around water, having a good time on your holiday is inclusive of everyone, irrespective of the age, irrespective of the body size you might be. So swim skirts was our way of making bathing suits very, very inclusive. So whether you might be very conscious of your hips or of your waist or of the hemline of your bathing suit, a swim skirt is something you can wear on top of your swimsuit, no matter how highly it might be cut or how dangerously it might be low. You can wear it on top of it and swim with it, so that everybody has a chance to have a good time when they're recreating.
I think that's a lovely way to look at it. What would you say, Shivan?
I mean, precisely what the idea was. While you're around the pool, sometimes you're conscious of people looking at you, and
I think in India that's something that we deal with a lot, no matter how 5-star-ish a hotel might be, right?
So that also kind of saves you from those those dirty eyes, like, and then you just conservative, you're fine, you're walking away from the pool to your changing room with no consciousness at all, like.
So
yeah, exactly.
Cool, nice. So, speaking about this, about inclusive fashion, about these swim skirts, how much do you think resort wear in India has evolved or changed over time?
Oh, absolutely. I think it was in fact one of the most unexplored categories in the name of fashion in our country. Fortunately, unfortunately, fashion for us still means occasion wear or meant occasion wear. You only were concerned of dressing up only close to weddings or special functions.
True.
But with millennials now taking over our entire economics of the country, they don't see fashion from an occasion point of view. For them, fashion needs to be digested on an everyday basis.
Exactly.
So when you look at fashion from that point of view, resort becomes the most elaborate category in fashion. Not only because it's meant that it can be worn on an everyday basis, but also the fact that we are a resort country. Our climate is resort. It's a humid country where sun is predominantly plays a very important role. So for you to have clothing that's very easy to wear, easy to take care of, easy to travel with, and more importantly, you can style it in different ways becomes very important. And that's exactly what resort wear is, apart from you holidaying in it. Yeah.
Of course. So, what do you think, Shivan, about, how do you think, why do you think that resort wear is not something that's, I think even now it's not that explored?
I mean, we are a country predominantly in terms of fashion dictated by occasion wear, and we've really put that in the forefront and forgotten that everyday life does exist and we need to look good at that time also. So. That was one of the conscious decisions we took, that resort will be the forefront of the brand's communication strategy.
Okay.
And why would it ever be a fail? It always has to be successful because, as he said rightly, we are a resort nation. The temperature, the weather only talks about the clothes you end up wearing. So yes, absolutely, resort wins.
Totally. So Amazon India Fashion Week recently concluded, and let me tell you guys, Shivan Narresh's new collection for the modern day Indian bride and the modern day Indian wedding is like on point. Okay, so there's like contemporary design, but at the same time you don't have to leave your loud Indian colors, which are a part of every Indian wedding. You can totally keep them in your wardrobe without looking tacky and still look modern, wearing a lehenga which might not be studded, like entirely studded, right? So they had these tassel saris. Again, I saw the tassel and I was like, oh, I remember the sarong, like that awesome sarong. And they had a sheer sari also, which I really liked. And it just, like, I don't know, there was something very sexy about that sari, honestly. So it's a spin of traditional attire, at the same time sticking to your colors that are part of the Indian wedding palette.
Yeah.
So tell me something about this collection, about the prints that you selected or the silhouettes. And
I think as fashion designers in India, in the millennial today, this is the biggest problem solving that we have to do. We have to make fashion relevant for the generation that consumes it today.
Right.
And while we're very proud of our traditional textiles, about our heritage, if you do not make it relevant in the times today, it is of no use, because it's not going to be used, consumed and passed on to the generation that follows after us. So our experimentation with fashion, with every fashion week, is just to make our traditional silhouettes even more relevant today. So if that means that a bride is getting married in a destination wedding, it doesn't make sense that she wears a 40 kg lehenga.
Of course.
So while it needs to look studded, it needs to look embellished, and it should be in a red color, it should be as light as carrying, I don't know, a 2 or 3 kg lehenga, so that she can easily travel
with it. Of
the
course.
pictures look great, the colors look great. So all these things have to be kept in mind, and you need to spin the traditional wear into a relevant millennial bride.
True.
And that's precisely what the idea was behind this collection. The Prince, Shivan will tell you, we had a recent trip to Seychelles.
Yes.
Wow.
So the inspiration is marrying the Edo art movement and our trip to Seychelles. So we took the elements from Seychelles and kind of interpreted in the Edo style of Japanese style of art. So we have about 4 prints representing the islands in island nation of Seychelles.
Wow.
And yeah, so it has a lot of resort vibe, but at the same time there are prints which also appeal to a destination wedding bride. So that's how it is.
That's so awesome to know, honestly. So, now that you're saying that, like you have to basically take tradition and you have to mold it for the millennials today, So, how much do you think fashion for weddings in India has changed over the years?
It's changed massively, but I think it's changed massively in the last 5 to 7 years particularly.
Right.
I think we had almost reached a point where we were stuck in fashion. You didn't know what to look up to next. We all understand that when you talk about bridal wear, you look at Maharajas and you look at a huge hangover of the Indian past, and you almost always relate to the grandeur style to them. But I think the Indian millennial today wants to be recognized much more than a hangover of a Maharaja and a hangover of a Maharani. So what is this new Indian aesthetic? How should that be defined? That essentially has changed a lot in the last 7-8 years with the influx of new designers that have started to do their own spin on Indian fashion. And that's precisely what you see today. So whether it's a label like ours and a couple of more who are also in this spectrum, you see them changing and experimenting with the sari, with the lehenga.
With the lehenga, yes.
Sari now is undergoing with such a revolution from bikini sari. The fact that sari is the only historical costume that survives today in the world is because it has been open to reinterpretation.
Exactly.
And we have never shied down in accepting it, and also from the ones who are changing it to change it. So I think this is a very positive thing in our society, to let our traditional things evolve, and this should never change.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. And I think I agree with the whole sari being so, open to interpretation, because it just makes it easier for girls these days to not, otherwise, wearing the sari is like a task, because you're like, oh my god, I don't know how to do this. Or
And you can never blame the girl for it.
Exactly, because and it sort of becomes like a judgment, oh, you don't know how to wear a sari. So I think for that it's really important that, there's openness to the idea of changing it the way you want to wear it. So this is a question that I ask most people in the fashion industry when I do interviews. And we asked this to Mr. Sunil Sethi also last Wednesday when we did a live with him on the first day of Fashion Week. How relevant do you think fashion weeks are in today's time, when every single city, every single country, everywhere there are so many fashion weeks happening?
I think Fashion Week as a platform is hugely important. What has changed is that the role it plays, what it used to play 10 years back and what it plays today.
Right.
So while 10 years back it was seen as a platform and it was the only platform where you could see and digest fashion, today it's become a communication channel to feed to a lot larger sources of communication.
Right.
So while back then Fashion Week was huge, completely media centric, what you showcase was digested by media and then reflected to the society.
Yes.
Today it's become both. So media digests and reflects it, but then society also consumes it instantly, and they themselves have become the communicators to the society ahead. So I think in a lot of ways it started to play a much wider role. Again, it's become a more democratic platform from what it used to be before. Fashion weeks have always been a very exclusive body, but today I think they've become, and they should become, more inclusive.
Of course.
Because they're being digested by the consumer, by the media, and by the buyer, all alike. So you can't question the platform, but you can question how inclusive this platform should become.
Cool. So, Shivan, as established designers, how relevant do you think it is for you guys today to showcase at Fashion Week? Because I can understand for freshers, it becomes a platform. But for designers as popular and as established as yourselves, what is the relevance that Fashion Week has in your lives?
For us, Fashion Week has been a way to make a deadline, honestly, if I tell you. It's disciplining ourselves. We make sure that we take part every 6 months because we finish the collection, we wrap it up. And not to and we've come to the point that we actually launch the collection in a month's time in our
Wow.
stores. So that is how important Fashion Weeks is for us.
How nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to have like a quick rapid fire with both of them and then we're going to wrap up this live. So, your favorite international designer?
Marnie.
Your favorite international designer?
I don't follow that many. That's not a rapid fire. I pass. I don't have an answer.
Okay. Your favorite Indian supermodel?
Lakshmi.
Lakshmi Rana. Cool. Your favorite Indian supermodel?
Sonalika.
Wow, look. how convenient. It's right here, right? Okay. One international celebrity you wish to dress?
Rihanna.
Ooh. What about you?
I'd love to dress.
You can't pass this one. You can't.
I'm not such a celebrity consumer.
See, so quick.
Yes, because we're poles apart.
Exactly.
Complete opposites.
Shows difference.
Okay. 3 pool party essentials.
A pareo, a pair of a bathing suit, of course, and the latest eyewear that we just did with our collection, Indie Eye.
Cool. What about you?
I was to say sunglasses and definitely Indie Eye. Yes, a swimsuit and a beach rug.
Lovely. So it's been awesome having you guys and this has been so much fun. I hope you guys watch this and it's going to be on the HT Facebook page later. So follow us on @HT Brunch on Twitter, follow us on @HT Brunch on Hindustan on Instagram and of course on Facebook. Thank you so much you guys.